Welcome to the House of Malice, everyone. Today I have a new series for you to enjoy. If you're an Aphmau fan in the year of Our Lady Irene 2025, then you likely know that, as of this video's release, last month was Minecraft Diaries' 10-year anniversary. I love Minecraft Diaries, and I have since I was a kid, when I first started watching it, and other series like Mod World and such. And I noticed, though, that a lot of fans are more knowledgeable about My Street nowadays. Some of them don't even remember My Street, and they're more into the newer content. That's besides the point, though. I was a little unsure when even My Street started coming out, but Diaries started to fall to the wayside and eventually died. And so now we have, well, not now, it's been a while. We got a reboot that lasted all of 9 episodes. So, in total, Diaries is 3 seasons and a 9-episode reboot. That means a total of roughly 238 20-ish minute episodes plus side stories. I need to cut that down, guys. So, this video will be part 1 of season 1, showcased alongside the reboot. So I want to have a segment here to get some things out of the way right out the gate, and I'm going to be opinionated. I'm going to have my fun, but most importantly, I'm going to go quick. There are tons of episodes to cover. The primary B-roll I already have in the background here is some gameplay of mine using the same texture pack from back in the day. It might be a different resolution. You can tweak that. That's really cool. But same one for Diaries back in the day. I will be showing clips from the series and this at the end of each episode, so this will help us keep track of the characters by listing them in order of importance and stating their current status. So yes, characters die and may stay dead in Minecraft Diaries. Just because a character has a certain status in My Street does not mean they are safe for all of Diaries' run. So without further ado, let's dive right into the first episode of Minecraft Diaries.
I hope you guys enjoy it, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So guys, thank you so much for joining me right now, and let's get into Minecraft Diaries. Long ago, there was a kingdom ruled by a benevolent queen.
Hold it! This is not the first episode I remember. Yeah, so this first season has been declared not canon to anything. You won't find me complaining, though. It's just Jess messing around in a modded Minecraft world. You may as well just enjoy my B-roll here, it's about as canon. Because of the confusion this would cause, and to make my own experience working on this easier, I have compiled all of Diaries into a single playlist. Diaries Origins is excluded. And at the end are the side stories in such in release order. I thought it'd be nice to just have everything in one place. So, for real this time, let's start with episode 1 of Minecraft Diaries. We open on 2 guards talking about a dead lord and seeing a mystery person running into the woods. We pick up with Aphmau, who spots the same mystery player and follows them to a nearby village where she finds the same guards, Gareth and Xenix, talking smack about the last lord. The village is a disaster, while all the guards, being NPCs, are stuck in the well. Aphmau starts settling in and saves some villager girlies from zombies by sticking them in a house that she christens the Babe House. We end off with her stealing Emmeline the librarian's house. So, we're introduced to a ton of characters and concepts here right off the bat. Let's break it down. The village had a lousy lord that died. The lords rule the land, working based on a village's specific politics. They're sometimes elected officials, sometimes it runs in the family. They are the head honcho of their given village, and it looks like this village just doesn't have one right now. Curious. Then, the most important characters we meet are the guards Xenix and Garth. You most certainly recognize Garth if you're a longtime Aphmau fan, and if you're unfamiliar with Diaries, it may surprise you to know that he is possibly the most important character outside of Aphmau herself. Yeah, he's not comic relief here. Keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on Xenix too. He'll be important later. And I'm not spoiling who the mystery player is. If you know, you know. We open on our mystery fellow thinking back to 3 familiar figures before planting a staff into the ground and booking it. The staff turns into Aphmau, now with sick tattoos and similar gold bangles to one of the characters in the flashback. Xenix shows up and immediately draws a sword on her? He acts like a coward and then homegirl passes out. He starts poking her with the sword, by the way. Garth comes over, and after Xenix acts like a bitch some more, they bring her to the village. While Xenix is bitching, she wakes up and steals his knife, as she should. She whoops their asses and books it downstairs. Shenanigans ensue. She meets a ton of characters before ending up living with Emmeline, who is terrified of her because of her knife shenanigans earlier. At the end of the episode, she wanders out to the dead farmlands and brings it back to life Steven Universe style, while her markings get all glowy. Boy, that is a lot to cram into a first episode. So, key differences: loads more lore, exposition, and characters. Garth and Xenix are still the most important side characters, while Donna, Vischer, Emmeline, Brian, Dale, yada 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 are all background characters. Mostly lovable background, but background nonetheless. New mystery person! They interrogate the original one on why they're sticking around the village. Aphmau fixes the village a little, and then finds one at sea before returning home. Yeah, the only thing of note here is the beginning and finding Donna. Aphmau is freaking out after what happened with the magic, and Garth comforts her like the gentleman he is. Well, shenanigans happen, and Aph saves a bunch of people who have fallen in. They show their appreciation, and then we get some building and bonding time with Brendan. We meet Kiki, and then hear about a werewolf around. We get some nice characterization for the villagers here, and by now we know pretty much all the original villagers who end up sticking around long into the original. Establishing that magic users aren't common early on is a good choice and change too. We open on the mystery fella looking through a house window with a woman holding a baby inside. We see him whip out a flint and steel and then cut away. Xenix thanks Aphmau for all her efforts in the village and then gives her a warning. Her behavior apparently has some people looking up to her, much like a lord. This could supposedly land her in trouble. At the end of the episode, Garth sends Aph on a fetch quest to the lord's house. I really like Xenix's subtly threatening characterization over his overt dickishness in the reboot. That's all I've got this time. Gene whoops our mystery guy's ass while questioning him like in the original. We get his name drop early here. Vlad. Another mystery person appears, and the jury of 9 is name dropped too. We get talk about trading and the village being doomed before fixing up the square in time for Logan's arrival. There are talks about establishing Aphmau as the new lord, and Logan decides to stay. I wonder why. We end on Garth asking Aphmau to perform the miracle again. I love Logan. So glad to see him instantly fall for Donna, me too. It's nice to literally see the village get better in the episodes rather than off screen, and Brendan is great. Love him. Aphmau visits the old lord's house, and in his diary, he talks about courting a villager named Milvina. I'm sorry. Then pages are ripped out and he starts writing frantically. Aph is knocked out before she can continue reading, and we get the same name drop for Vlad as we got in the reboot earlier. The strangers talk about a king, and if they need to worry about Aphmau before fleeing. Aph wakes up, heads to town, and we get a similar version of the trading plot of the previous reboot episode. It's interesting how it kind of looks like episode 3 and 4 were fused together in the reboot, and the Lord's Journal gives a good creepy vibe. We open on Gene getting his ass, or rather his ear, handed to him by the jury of 9. Caitlin, my queen, is name dropped. We get a lot of setup for Zane that is really important to the original. Gene and the now named Sasha label Vlad a traitor, which is likely connected to the survival of the deceased lord's family. Back in Phoenix Drop, Aphmau performs her miracle, and Vischer warns against her powers being known in order to keep her safe. Lady Irene is finally introduced by name as a concept, thanks to Emmeline. I love Vischer, guys. He is so sweet. On the other hand, Emmeline's no one takes books seriously bit is getting a bit grating by now. Don't let yourself be distracted, though. The opening of the episode is a treasure trove of foreshadowing and lore that is saved for the tail end of the original season 1. This episode will be on the test. I better see it in your notes. Vischer is finally introduced in this episode of the original after Brendan builds an entire dock completely on his own. OG Vischer's kinda sus. Yeah, that's all I got. Shout out to Flipper. We get a sweet lesson on strength and standing your ground from Vischer this episode before we're reminded of Gene and Sasha still at large. In a truly heartbreaking scene, Vischer departs Phoenix Drop on his ship, only for it to completely explode just offshore. It is made abundantly clear that Gene is behind this. Brendan tries comforting Aph a few days later, and Kiki gifts her a hamster named Cuddlezilla, which helps cheer her up a bit. After this, we have some nice time to relax with Donna before seeing Vlad draw a bow on the cleanup crew. When the reboot first started coming out, I was pretty skeptical for a ton of reasons. This episode, though, made me really come around. Best one so far, and I love the references with Cuddlezilla and Sean Connery. While Aphmau builds herself a house, the docks explode before Vischer can even depart. No one knows what happened except Paul, Gareth, Xenix, and Aphmau herself. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When the reboot was coming out, I was convinced that Vischer was a totally new character. I mean, he talks to Aph once and then dies. It's not like there's very much to remember. Not to mention the fact that they literally covered the incident up. I get why. Still a bad decision to not at least inform the other guards. This is a serious threat. We open on talk about Zane's pursuits, a relic he's after. No time to relax, though, because when we cut back to Phoenix Drop, Brendan's been shot? Donna and Aphmau immediately go see him, but when Aphmau tries healing him, she just passes out. Me too, girl. Brendan is stable, but the arrow he was shot with was coated in a poison, and the most likely place to find the herb that could be turned into an antidote is Brightport. Aph decides to set sail with Kiki's blessing and arrives safely to Brightport, where she meets my wife! Sorry. They make him a womanizer in this, though. He sails away to Metelli, and Aphmau finds the village, where she finds a little boy named John, in need of help. She rescues his friend Lowell, a werewolf pup, and Jean sets sail for Brightport as well. I miss my wife, Tails. I miss her a lot. Quick tangent, Lawrence is my favorite character in Minecraft Diaries, and that might be outrageous to some friends of mine who thought the purple, headstrong, badass female main character was a shoo-in for my favorite, but that's the thing. The Lord Aphmau character was basically my hero as a little kid, and like in most media, I basically just kind of claimed her as a part of me. That makes her really easy for me to connect to, so she isn't my favorite. Of course not. She's me. When that happens, my favorite is usually a character I find harder to relate to and thus find supremely interesting. You can imagine then how much this hurt me.
Oh god.
Yeah, for the longest time, I didn't know who this guy was.
So
And then she's like, "Oh, Kim like Lawrence." I'm like, "Oh," and I was like, "Who is Lawrence?" And Lawrence is in the pit of forgotten characters. Listen.
His character was hugely important and interesting in the original, and
I think I miss my wife.
Kiki is introduced for the first time alongside her gaggle of hamsters. Brendan rebuilds the docks, and then Aph builds a boat. It's kind of giving Odysseus fighting Charybdis. At night, Vlad scopes out Aphmau's house and seemingly leaves something in the boat's chest.
Then oh, bring it on. I'm not dying here, I'm still fighting here.
We see Jean murder a Brightport guard in all his Shadow Knight glory, honestly slay. Aphmau is informed in John's home that moon herbs grow in the land of the wolf tribe, who hate humans like herself. Sort of. While she asks around to see if anyone in Brightport has the herb, Jean uses the armor he stole off of the guard to infiltrate the guard's ranks, where he reveals that, like in the original, there is a portal to the Shadow Abyss, another portal, on the wolf tribe's land. The two characters clash when Aph asks Jean by chance for the moon herb found in the wolf tribe. The two then form an unlikely and somewhat unstable alliance to journey to the wolf tribe for their own reasons, the herb and the portal. We see Zane terrorizing a librarian, and the episode ends. I honestly love the idea of giving Aphmau and Jean some sort of relationship and dynamic. In the original, they spend a lot of time as antagonists, but don't really give a damn about each other. Jean literally says multiple times that he finds her insignificant. It's way more interesting to give them a more personal dynamic and avoid a Adora and Horde Prime kind of vibe, if you get my drift. Garth makes fun of Aphmau's Charybdis boat a little more before she leaves for Brightport with Paul and Vischer's remains in tow. His remains are delivered to his family by Aphmau, and then she spends the night valiantly fighting off zombies. doesn't even remember Aphmau. Garth is freaking out at home, and we get a tiny reference to Dante and Jean's dialogue. John thinks Jean is cool, which is cute, and while on the way to the wolf tribe with Lowell, our duo is jumped by a wolf. I am so sorry, y'all. The wolves look hella out of place and goofy. I cannot take them seriously. Sasha breaks into Aphmau's house and chucks a growth potion at Sean Connery. The second she gets home, Garth lets her know that the Lord of Brightport is missing. It is established that Phoenix Drop, and Xenix in particular, now see her as their lord. And speaking of Xenix, he notes that there's evidence that someone has been camping out in the old lord's home while Brendan is gearing up to tear it down. Molly and Dale are married, and then Aph goes to do some village chores. Sasha just pranking Aphmau like this is hilarious to me. Like, what is she doing? Jean is beefing with the wolves, but doesn't want to give himself away as a Shadow Knight, so he's holding back. Lowell is such a pussy that he nearly gets the duo killed, but they're saved by the doll Kiki gave Aphmau as a blessing. Turns out, they know and love Kiki here, so Aph is cool in their book now. The duo are finally brought to the wolf tribe, where Aph has a weird flashback of a silhouette in the shadow abyss, the nether. It leaves her so visibly shaken and weak that even Jean gets worried for a second. She passes out in his arms. This is the last episode of the reboot that we got, and the whole thing had a lot of potential. Again, I really like Jean and Aphmau acting as foils in this episode and the previous, and I really like a bunch of the ideas going on here. I just kind of wish it could have come to an end instead of being cut off like this. Aph agrees to let food merchants come into town to stimulate business, and she builds little stands in preparation for this. A cellar is discovered under the old lord's house, and we end on Vlad shooting an arrow at someone working on the cleanup. Since the reboot ended so quickly, we can go over the whole short timeline pretty quick. 1, this is going to be mostly broad strokes and using the original to fill in some blanks, and 2, I'm going to be using the actual names regardless of spoilers to give a complete picture of this specific timeline. If this is your first time really engaging with the series from the beginning, you can skip to the OG timeline at this timestamp. The Lord of Phoenix Drop is killed by Shadow Knights working in tow with Zane and the Jury of 9. This is a move to destabilize villages to gain power. Zane is simultaneously searching for a relic with Irene's power. Then, at some point, Hyria gives Vlad a staff tied to Irene that he plants near Phoenix Drop. Irene's new incarnation, Aphmau, spawns from the staff and is brought into the village, where she wins everyone over. She has no memory of previously being Irene, but holds her same power and gets glimpses of the past here and there. Vischer is killed by Shadow Knights, followed by Brendan being shot when Vlad attempts to shoot Xenix, who uses the unsuspecting Brendan as a meat shield. Aphmau works with Jean in Brightport to save Brendan, while Jean seems to be trying to make contact with more Shadow Knights. The Lord of Phoenix Drop arrives and settles down. After living in Phoenix Drop for some time, he is assassinated by one of the Strangers. His home is then seemingly burnt down by Vlad as a way to cover up him saving the family of the Lord to escape them meeting the same fate. Vlad stays in the village all the way up to Aphmau's arrival, and she wins the village over pretty quickly. The strangers start terrorizing Phoenix Drop to retaliate against Vlad, knocking Aphmau out, sending Vischer a pipe bomb, and chucking a potion at Sean Connery. The Lord of Brightport is then declared missing, and a cellar is discovered in the old Lord's home. Honestly, I think this reboot had loads of potential, but let's get my gripes out of the way first. I loathed every second that Emmeline and Xenix were on screen. Their characterizations are irritating and honestly even less likable than their predecessors. The original Xenix felt reasonable in his suspicions, which let the audience only be mildly suspicious when he did something strange, leading to a good buildup of doubt. Here, I just feel frustrated by every word he says, and he feels too incompetent to be any sort of secret threat. In the original, he felt like one of the only competent guards, and here, he just feels like another incompetent guard. Emmeline also just seems so flat on top of being a dick to everybody. She loves books and Irene and hates Aphmau to the point of making her sleep on the cold floor. Maybe if her dialogue contained more for why she loves books other than they're important, she would be a bit less of a chore to watch. So yeah, my most hated characters were them, and most hated episode was any episode that included a lot of footage of them. I'll just put up whichever they were on screen the most for. Now onto the positives. This trims loads of fat from the original that makes my editor's heart very, very happy. The new characterization for nearly all of the characters is charming and absolutely needed after they started off as virtually just cardboard cutouts on wheels. I love the look of everything and the new ideas tossed around, especially when it comes to Jean and the Shadow Knights, as I said a whole bunch of times already. So who is my favorite with only the reboot in mind? Okay, listen! I love a pathetic, petty diva, okay? And I said earlier that episode 5 is my favorite episode. It really won me over. This is the slowest part of the whole series and is composed almost entirely of Jess just sticking around. Some of the most important characters haven't even been introduced yet, and those that have, like Gareth, are a complete mystery right now. I don't like that Vischer's death is just an excuse to go to Brightport, and that he only had a single exchange with Aph. I'm gonna be listing him as the worst character in the original for how nothing he is as a character. Episode 10 was my most hated episode for how much of a nothing episode it is. My main problem with the original, I suppose, would be how much it feels at times like a game of yes and that spiraled out of control. Why is the hamster big? Why are we goofing off with a dolphin? As for the good, I love the visual novel aspects of choosing responses and honestly kind of love the implication of the game having been played before by the previous lords, sorta been drowned haunted game vibes, but obviously this gets dropped pretty fast and it might be for the best. The strangers and Vlad especially make for an interesting mystery, not to mention the Brightport Lord going missing, adding more intrigue to not only the deceased Phoenix Drop Lord, but also to Xenix's seeming insistence on Aphmau being the next Lord. My favorite character so far is Vlad here. He's the most intriguing and complex seeming character when it comes to his actions and motivations. We see him approaching the Lord's home with a flint and steel and then being revealed as the person who saved the Lord's family. My favorite episode is 4 so far. Multiple things happen that are important to the plot and characters, and I love characterization for Vlad and the strangers any day. So that is Diaries Rebirth, and the first 10 episodes of the original Minecraft Diaries. Next time will probably be a little shorter and more relaxed compared to the back and forth leapfrogging between the original and the reboot this time around. The next episode should start picking up steam though, so remember to come back for part 2 and onwards.